Africa today is victim of many external spoilers that work against its stability. They don't trust us a lot.
They told us Africa was free, yet our wealth still feeds foreign empires. They said we had leaders, but some kneel to Western masters while the people starve. They sell democracy while backing dictators who obey their commands. In Zimbabwe, they punished land reclamation with starvation. In Burkina Faso, young patriots are called rebels for chasing colonial ghosts. But a new Africa is rising. From the Sahel to Soweto, the fire of freedom is burning. This is not just a report. This is a declaration. Stay with us. Welcome to See Africa TV, where truth has no master and Africa tells its own story. Today, we reveal what Western media fears and what African collaborators try to hide. Because across this mighty continent, a powerful shift is underway. The chains of colonization, both mental and economic, are being shattered. But every freedom fire invites enemies. Let's expose them. The Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni recently said, Europe must rebuild trust with Africa. But trust was never broken. It was never there. For centuries, Europe robbed Africa, bled her, enslaved her, and called it civilization.
Africa today is victim of many external spoilers that work against its stability. They don't trust us a lot. And I cannot say that they are completely wrong. That's why my opinion is that we have to change this approach. If you want to do serious things, you have to do things that are useful for both. For example, now we have a problem in Europe about energy sources after the war. But Africa is potentially an enormous producer of energy, of every kind of energy, green energy, hydrogen, geothermic, they've got gas, they've got everything.
Now that Africa is standing, they're pretending to talk peace. Make no mistake, this is not apology. This is panic. They fear African unity. They fear AES. They fear losing control of resources, trade routes, and youth minds. See, Africa says, Africa must not negotiate from weakness. This is the time to demand reparations, control trade, and reject fake aid.
African people need to tell their presidents we care about Africa. That should be a priority. Unless we act really together, it doesn't work. One problem is African countries refuse to cede any sovereignty to the African Union. So African Union cannot sign a trade agreement in behalf of Africa. Then the African Union go and meet the European Union. This is not balanced.
It is not.
Because those guys had
27 countries,
gave them sovereignty.
Yes.
But our guys here don't want to give any sovereignty, cede any sovereignty to the Union, as if, you know, this is something very fantastic they have to keep. When countries like Germany, like big countries, agreed to cede sovereignty to the collective body because they are smart, they think when they are together, they negotiate better deals. And that's what we need the African people to press their governments. We need to be stronger. We need to have our union. We need to cede some of our sovereignty for the African Union. I'm not losing sovereignty because our collective sovereignty is huge. Is huge. Then we are somebody which can be respected around the world. We go out there in Europe, oh, we Africans, we African. I want to ask you, what do you mean you are Africans? You are South African, you're Nigerian, what do you mean you are Africans? Where is your government? What decisions you are able to make? What is Africa? Unless we have an African Union and a joint, a will, and then it doesn't work.
Tim Black says, why do Africans make such bad deals for the raw materials? Because the people who are making the deals are getting the cash themselves. The person who's actually administering the deal is getting it cash themselves, and it's a great deal for their own personal pockets. Not so great for the country as a whole.
Zimbabwe did what no other African country dared. They took back their land. And for that, Europe declared economic war. sanctions, isolation, lies. They didn't just want to punish Mugabe. They wanted to make an example of Zimbabwe, to scare the rest of Africa. Don't you dare reclaim what colonialism stole. But today, Zimbabwe still stands. Tired, yes, but not broken. And slowly, African farmers and youth are beginning to say, if we don't reclaim our land, we will forever be slaves on our soil. See Africa TV stands with Zimbabwe. Land is not a crime. Colonization was. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, 3 young nations, 3 defiant military leaders, and 1 message to the West. Your time is up. Africa belongs to Africans. The AES Alliance is not just a military union. It is a declaration of African independence. Phase 2. They are kicking out foreign troops. They are seizing back gold, uranium, and oil. They are uniting beyond colonial borders. See Africa says, these men are not rebels. They are freedom fighters standing where many politicians kneel. The AU may remain silent. ECOWAS may grumble. But the African people, especially the youth, are watching, supporting, and ready. If this fire of truth burns in your heart, don't be silent. Share this video. Drop a comment, Africa must be free. Use the hashtag #SarAfricaUnchained. Subscribe to See Africa TV, where no African voice is censored. Let's build the media of the free Africa together. Nigeria should be Africa's lion. Instead, it is often the playground of political thieves. A senator accused of financial crimes in the United States now chairs Nigeria's Senate Ethics Committee. Yes, a fox guarding the hen house. The youth protested, the world laughed, the leaders moved on. This is not democracy. This is betrayal. But don't lose hope, because Nigerian youth have already begun the rebellion. From NSARS to digital journalism, music, satire, and underground movements, a new Nigeria is already being born. And this time, there will be no compromise. Across the continent, a new revolution brews. Not from government halls, but from street corners, studios, smartphones, and protests. This is Pan-Africanism 2.0. Not about speeches, but solutions. Not about old men, but young voices. Not about begging, but building. From Soweto to Sudan, Bamako to Biafra. The spirit of Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, and Kwame Nkrumah is rising again. And this time, the fire will not be extinguished. Africa is not poor. Africa is plundered. Africa is not weak. Africa is betrayed. But Africa is waking up, and no empire, east or west, can stop it now. This is not just a turning point. This is a new beginning. This is See Africa TV. Unfiltered, uncolonized, unapologetic. Subscribe now. Share this truth. Be the voice they can't silence. This report represents the voices of African history, resistance,